Hey, what's up, guys? Scott here, back once more with another video. I think I might try to start doing videos weekly. I think weekly wouldn't be too hard on me. Maybe bi-weekly, but I had a topic today that I kind of want to talk about, and I think I have other topics coming to mind that are related to superhero stuff that I think might be cool to talk about in videos. But anyway, today I'm going to be doing what I'm calling an examination of the most interesting MCU villain in one of the worst MCU movies, which is always not a good thing, right? So, but anyway, let's talk about the movie itself first. Thor: Love and Thunder, or Thor 4. I think this movie had a lot of potential, especially after coming off Ragnarok, which I loved, and then this is also set after Endgame and Infinity War. After Infinity War and Endgame, so all the stuff with Thanos was wrapped up. I thought Thor, and also I wasn't a big fan of what they did with Thor in Endgame, making him the fat Thor, because that just didn't make no sense for his character. Even after what happened with Thanos, I don't think Thor would have been down in the dumps like that. I think he would have taken responsibility for his actions and been a leader to his people, not become this drunk, fat, shell of a man of what he was, right? But that being said, I still liked him in Endgame because he did come around. He did come around and helped out in the final battle and stuff. So he came around, but him being in that place in the first place just made no sense, right? So carry that over into Thor: Love and Thunder. Now I like that they got rid of the fat Thor. He was back to normal. So that was good. But then what they did with his character, not physically like in Endgame, but with his character in Love and Thunder. Oh, it made me so mad. This movie as a whole made me mad because this movie had so much potential. You had great actors, obviously, like Chris Hemsworth. Natalie Portman was back for this one. Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, who was always great. Christian Bale as Gore, the God Butcher, who we'll get into very shortly, as your main antagonist. That's the recipe. And then the storyline they went with, I think, had potential, but the way it was executed it just fell flat. You have humor that didn't land. Some of the jokes are kind of funny, but most of the humor in this movie didn't land, especially the screaming goats. It was funny like the first time, maybe. Then it just got old. Just random jokes thrown in there that just were not funny. And one of the YouTubers I watched named John Campy, he says there's almost nothing more painful to watch than a movie or a TV show that's trying to be funny but isn't. When they're trying so desperately to be funny, but you can tell they're just trying and it's not landing. It's very painful to watch. So yeah, and then also just lack of action in this movie. There's, the previous Thor movies had a lot of action and high stakes. And they felt like these otherworldly adventures. Because Thor is one of the Avengers that's not from Earth, right? He's from Asgard, so he comes to Earth a lot to help out, but he travels the cosmos, and fights threats and bad guys that are way beyond Earth's capabilities, right? So, this movie lost that. I felt like, the stakes, excuse me, in a way the stakes kind of got stepped down. It lost that sense of wonder and awe that the Thor movies are supposed to have. Now that being said, it's kind of weird. I like Thor's beginning in this movie, and I like his end in this movie. But it's the journey in between that's terrible. I love the first scene that we see of Thor in this movie where he's helping because at the end of Endgame he goes off with the Guardians. So at the beginning of this movie, him and the Guardians are on this planet helping these people fight off some bad guys, just some bandit aliens. But him and the Guardians are fighting these bad guys, and they help the people defeat these bad guys. I like that, That was a cool Thor scene. That's where Thor does what he does, with his Stormbreaker and with Stormbreaker, because Mjolnir, his hammer is destroyed at this point. But he's a Stormbreaker to take out these bad guys. That was a cool scene. And then I like the end of this movie, at the end where he has his adopted daughter, and then they go off. They're going off fighting bad guys now to help people. So I like Thor's beginning and Thor's end in this movie, but his journey was awful. The movie in between was awful. Totally waste of Natalie Portman. They made her the Mighty Thor like in the comics, which is awesome. Then they kill her off at the end, which is so stupid. You know, because in the comics she goes on to become a major part of the Avengers and stuff. You know, and I feel so bad for Natalie Portman because she's a great actress. You know, hopefully she'll come back at some point with a better director and stuff. Because there's talks that she's going to come back, but you know, as far as this movie goes, they kill her off at the end, and you know, wasted potential there, Natalie Portman, and and she looks great. I mean, she looks like the Mighty Thor from the comics. They did great with the look, but you know what they gave her to work with was just terrible. Hated it. So like I said, hopefully she'll come back. And then Valkyrie was fine in this movie. I didn't really have any problems with what they did with Valkyrie. But then okay, now we gotta get into and Thor. Chris Hemsworth obviously is always great as Thor, but what they did with his character was terrible. Like making him look like a fool and embarrassing him and stuff. It was just terrible. Now we get to the main point of the video. Your villain, your main antagonist, Gore. Now Gore the God Butcher. Now Gore is so unique in that he's the only MCU villain or antagonist that I really don't see as a bad guy, because he's not trying to destroy Earth or destroy the universe like Thanos or the Dark Elves, or he's not trying to take over Earth like Loki or Ultron or Hela. You know, he has nothing against Earth. He's nothing against, you know, he wasn't trying to wipe out a race of innocent people like Magneto or Ronan. You know, his main focus was revenge on the gods that screwed him, basically, you know. Because the first scene in the movie is him coming to his god. The planet's in a bad drought or something. And he comes to his god, Rapu. Rapu is this god's name. And so, you know, like Majesty, we need help, you know. The planet's dry, we need water. My daughter's dead, and Rapu just laughs in his face like, I don't care. You know, like, boo-hoo. And then Gore ends up getting the Necro Sword, and Gore ends up getting the Necro Sword and killing him and declaring vengeance against all gods. And we see throughout the movie, like, with the exception of Thor and his group, you know, Odin and the Asgardians and Thor, they all cared about what was going on there. They were there to help fight Thanos or Hela or Loki. You know, whoever the bad guy of the week was, right? The Asgardians were, when they could, the Asgardians were almost always there to help Earth defend against the bad guys. Whether it was against Thanos, Loki, you know, whoever. But none of these other gods, like Russell Crowe as Zeus, and all the other gods we're introduced to in this movie just come across as uncaring. And then when Thor and his group go to them for help against Gore, they just get laughed out of the building. Like, the gods do not care. In fact, Zeus even says, like, boo-hoo, that guy killed a couple of low-level gods, boo-hoo. Which just shows how right Gore is in his critique of these gods, you know. So I find it very hard to disagree with Gore, you know. Now, at the end, he ends up renouncing his vengeance and using his power to bring back his daughter instead. But you know, because I think he saw the good that was in Thor. But if it hadn't been for seeing the goodness in Thor and his nobility, I think he would have went ahead with his quest to destroy all the gods. But his motivation was so unique, you know. Not trying to destroy Earth or destroy the universe or take over the world or universe or destroy an innocent race of people. No, he was very focused in his goal, and he wasn't after anything but that. So, and it was a very understandable vengeance, right? So, but anyway, he's the most unique MCU villain in the worst MCU movie. So, I wanted to kind of take a time and talk about that now. Hopefully, going forward, I obviously hope Thor will come back for these next Avengers movies and under a better director, and hopefully Jane Foster, Mighty Thor, might come back. I'm sure Valkyrie will be back. I'm sure they'll be back for the next Avengers movies, but hopefully they can come back with a better director this time that gets them back on track. And I definitely want to see all of them. I want to see Thor, Jane, and Valkyrie, and all the Asgardians that we can back in the fight against Doctor Doom, right? So, which is coming up really soon. So, But hopefully they'll be better with better written and directed this next time around. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned, and peace out.